Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Partner Picks, where perfection is a work in progress. I'm your host, Sam. Our other host, Tarek, is out for tonight. We'll see him again next week. Joining me, as always, we have Football Jesus, bringing us that gospel.
How's it going, Captain? I'm glad to be here. Week 6, and man, what a week it's going to be.
Absolutely. It's been an exciting year so far. Speaking of exciting, our QB queen, Jessica, how you doing tonight?
Excited now. Pretty good. I actually stayed out to watch the Monday Night Football game. It was pretty good. I think I figured out I am severely attracted to strongly defensive games. That's what I like to watch in the NFL. And last night, Crosby was going off, and it was so much fun to watch.
Okay. It's an interesting way of putting that, but all right. Just really just attracted. I thought she was going to say. I thought she was going to say
from
she was
Maryland.
to one of the players.
No, God, no.
God, he was just so attractive. I mean,
No.
I was just drawn in the entire time.
Maybe you, Sam. Maybe you are, but I don't watch it for that.
And then, of course, we have with us my little insider, Sammy. How you doing tonight?
I'm feeling cold.
You're feeling cold? Well, you're wearing all those clothes. I think you'll be okay.
I think I need a blanket.
You'll be all right for a little bit.
No, I won't. It's not a joke.
Oh, you'll be fine. But speaking of people who aren't fine, there's been quite a few injuries this year, some more impactful than others. I got to ask, which one has been the most impactful for their team?
I'm getting a bravery.
I'll start with this one. I think it's going to be Matt Milano for the much maligned Bills defense. I mean, they've looked really good so far, but he is going to be the third player that they have put on season-ending IR. And from the games that I've watched of the Bills defense, Matt Milano is a sideline-to-sideline type of linebacker. Doesn't matter where the ball is, doesn't matter what down it is, Matt Milano is in on that play. And unfortunately, his leg getting caught up in that scrum probably cost him the rest of his season, more than likely. So I think we're going to see the Bills defense start to falter a little bit. Yeah. And that may be the reason that they lose their division this year, because their defense isn't able to keep up with some of the high-powered offenses in their division.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one was kind of tough for me. I'm kind of between two, Justin Jefferson or Anthony Richardson. I think I'm gonna go with Justin Jefferson here just because I feel like the Vikings are struggling a little bit more than they should be offensively, and Justin Jefferson is their go-to clutch guy. So when they don't have that to lean on, they're gonna struggle even harder to work around that. And there's less people to like Justin Jefferson is consistently double covered or the best guy on the field is covering him. So now they don't have to do that. Defenses are going to be able to spread out a little bit better. And I think that's going to have a huge impact on them.
For a team that has like one win so far, honestly, I don't think he's been with the team the entire time other than last week when they lost still to a good Chiefs team. I don't think his impact is going to be felt as much because I don't think that they're relevant as much.
I think it's more of he gave them the best shot at going somewhere, and now I don't know that they have a shot.
See, but in my opinion, the one that still stands out is probably Aaron Rodgers.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you look at that team and they're built to win right now.
Yeah,
unfortunately. It's been rough. They've been close in some games. Zach Wilson has shown tiny flashes, but nothing in the realm of what he's projected to be able to do at the beginning of his career. Aaron Rodgers was supposed to come in here, right this ship, get that team up and over the hump. And 3 plays in, his leg goes, nope. And he's out. So I think he is the biggest so far for the season. I think the biggest one last week, that would probably have to be Jefferson, simply because he's the playmaker. He's a game changer. He's the only reason why they've been in games.
Yeah.
So
To parlay those two together, do you think the Jets make a play for Kirk Cousins before the trade deadline at the end of the month?
Yeah. I don't think that they will, but yeah, now those rumors are swirling now that Jefferson's hurt. They feel like they're out of it and they're like, Kirk trade is on the table.
I don't
Yeah.
think they will. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't even think they're looking into that so much. Teams are usually reluctant to do so, usually reluctant to trade quarterbacks like that, especially since they think that Aaron Rodgers is coming back next week. So
That would be some sort of
look at the time.
devil magic miracle.
He does dabble in some weird stuff.
I mean, they're not wrong.
There's a time.
All
Well,
right.
let's take a look. Let's take a look at the current standings. A little bit of a surprise. A couple of teams tied. Me and Brady tied for first place. Jessica right in.
NFL teams. I was like, what did I miss?
Jessica's right in the middle. Sammy and Tarek slipping a little, bud.
Oh.
That's
Jackson
okay.
is in full effect. She's falling, I'm climbing, and everything's great over here in football Jesus land.
You know what? I need a personal assistant so I can focus on football.
Give work a call. They'll get one.
That's what I have here.
I know. Sammy, you still got a shot, buddy. We can take them now.
Exactly. Just takes one good week, right, Sammy? Takes one good week, right, bud?
Back.
I know. It's frustrating being back there, but you got time to catch up. Well, let's get on to our games of the week. We're going to start with football. Jesus. What do you got for us this week?
Well, I've got probably what I think is the most interesting game of the week, and that's the Indianapolis Colts going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So this one stood out to me for a couple of reasons this week. One, which Jess alluded to earlier, that Anthony Richardson is going to be out for a few weeks, so we're going to see Gardner Minshew starting for this team again, which he has not looked like an awful quarterback so far. Another reason for the Colts, Jonathan Taylor is going to have a full week of prep work underneath his belt, so he's most likely going to re-overtake that RB1 role in that offense. And the third and final point that I want to make about this game is the Jacksonville Jaguars just spent 2 weeks straight in London, and they're coming back to play this game on their own turf in Jacksonville. So I am wondering if that is going to have an effect on this team at all. Now, granted, I'm not the most world travel person, but I imagine if you spend 2 weeks in one country's time zone and then you fly back and you have to get ready and prep and get back on your normal schedule within a 7-day span where grown men are throwing themselves at you at full speed, you may not be up to snuff. So I think we may see the Jacksonville Jaguars take a little bit of a regression this week because they looked really good last week in London, having all of that extra prep time there. With that being said, let me double check who I picked because I forget because I'm a professional. I have the Colts in this one because I do think that the jet lag for the Jaguars is going to be a problem. And with the two-headed running attack of Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss, I think the Colts should be able to grind out a lot of clock this week.
So, I don't remember who I picked. I hope I picked Jacksonville. I actually think
But you did.
okay. I actually think Jacksonville is not going to have as big of a problem with jet lag because it's easier to come back from that time zone than it is to go to that time zone.
Especially since it's just a jump of 5 hours. It's like going from
Yeah,
a
yeah.
game to a
So
night
for-
game.
right. It's for them, it's not as significant. However, and I also think that even though the backup quarterback for Indy is a solid backup, I think Jacksonville's on kind of a little bit of a roll here, and I'm kind of excited to see this game play out.
Sammy, who did you pick in this game?
That's the Jaguars.
You picked the Jaguars? Yes, you did. You picked the Jaguars.
Well, I
Right
can't
there.
see.
Jacksonville. You picked Jacksonville Jaguars. And you know what? I gotta say, I agree with him. I think Minshew Magic is all well and good. I mean, you can't beat the stash. But I don't think he's gonna be good enough to go in there and get the victory with this kind of team. He's gonna struggle a little bit. Jacksonville's defense is gonna stymie him. Because they know that Zach Moss is really where their strength is. I feel like the running game for the Jacksonville Jaguars is going to be the key defining element in this game that puts them over the top. And I got Jacksonville winning. It's going to be close. It's going to come down to a field goal at the end of the game. So, speaking of, let's get on to our next game of the week. Jessica, what kind of play have you drawn up for us?
So sticking to my roots a little bit more than normal, my Baltimore defensive game that I would like to see, especially after last week's horrendous performance. I picked the Baltimore Ravens and Tennessee Titans. They play in London. I am a little bit worried about that. As far as, like I said, the time change, and I don't think that they're going to adjust very well. However, the Titans seem to still be struggling to like find their identity. They have one of, if not the best running backs in the league. And they're not utilizing him as they should be. I mean, I didn't see the game. I did hear that there were some questionable calls as far as Derrick Henry averaging maybe 3 yards a carry. And they're having him go for it on like fourth and 4, whatever, and overturning the ball way too often. Baltimore had everybody was sick or crazy last week. What happened was,
Who was sick last week?
meaning like mentally sick. The way they were dropping balls, something was wrong with them. I don't know what it was. Something was in the water or what. But watching Mark Andrews, watching Zay Flowers, watching Bateman, all of them, hands on ball goes straight to the ground. It was infuriating. Lamar made 1 or 2 really bad throws, but overall he actually performed pretty well. So I expect them to get a stern chat about that. Lamar was pretty PO'd about all the dropped passes that would have won that game easily. So I think that there will be a lot less of those. He will have all of his receivers, whether or not they are 100%. I don't know. They say that they are. So I am taking Baltimore here, but I think it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a physical game. I love watching these games. Baltimore by 7.
I really could have said it better myself. The Tennessee Titans are really lacking that identity. I don't think Ryan Tannehill is the answer, as we like to say, in regards to quarterbacks for any team moving forward. But they have, as Jess alluded to, one of the best running backs in the league in Derrick Henry. They have DeAndre Hopkins, who is still one of the top maybe 10, 15 receivers in the league. But here they sit at 2 and 3. Now, whether that's a story based on coaching, who else they have besides these 2 star players, I'm not sure. But what I do know is that the Ravens have an extremely well-built team. The 2 losses that the Ravens have this week or this year weren't due to the opponents. They were due to the Ravens not being able to capitalize on the talent and the moment. So I am going with the Ravens here. It's hard for me to pick against them when Tennessee has looked as hot and cold as they have this year. But the same can be said about the Ravens. I also agree this is going to be a close game, unfortunately. But I do have the Ravens coming out probably by a touchdown.
Sammy, who did you pick in this game?
Baltimore Ravens.
You think the Ravens are going to beat the Titans?
Because they are birds. And they are my favorite.
They are his favorite birds. Does Mr. Emmett want to make a pick?
He did make a pick. Emmett, which one did you pick? What is that?
purple team.
What's the purple team called?
Purple team.
Oh no.
Yes, you do.
I
Who's
know.
mommy's team?
Oh no. Oh no.
Yes, you do. You just said it.
You silly goob.
Good choice.
I think you picked the Baltimore.
Yeah, he did. Sammy, did you know that ravens are the smartest bird?
Oh yeah. Yeah. This one.
I know.
You mean Baltimore?
Yeah, Baltimore too.
Ravens, yes.
We're all smart birds.
Given this this game, usually these games are pretty close between Baltimore and Tennessee. I'm getting there. Given the history with these two teams, Baltimore and Tennessee, they're always really close. And yeah, you're right. Tannehill's not the answer in Tennessee. Derrick Henry's wearing down a little bit. I mean, you can only beat a piece of steel so long before it gets bent out of shape, no longer usable. That man has been a rock for that team. The only thing I worry about for the Baltimore Ravens, this week is stopping the run. Honestly, stopping Derrick Henry from running down the field and wearing them down. If Tennessee sticks to their game plan, it's going to be a long day for Baltimore. But saying all that, Baltimore is the team that I have picked here simply because I think they're the better team overall. I think they're going to pull it out, and it's going to be a fun, like Jessica said, defensive game. Now, let's get on to our next game of the week, our final game of the week. It is the New Orleans Saints going against the Houston Texans. And I, for one, think this is a very interesting pick. Sammy, do you know who you picked in this game?
No.
No, you picked them. That's who you picked.
You mean that?
You picked them, New Orleans Saints. Do you know why you picked the New Orleans Saints?
I thought I picked that.
Is it because the Saints are going to come marching in?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a really interesting game. The Houston Texans have been above and beyond better than everybody thought they were going to be. CJ Stroud hasn't thrown a pick yet. I see that changing pretty quickly. But their defense has held them in games. Their offense has kept them relevant. The Saints came off a huge win against New England last week, which was shocking. Of course, Houston lost last week, but it does, it happens. I have a feeling this is my upset special right here. I have Houston winning this game. And it's simply because I feel like CJ Stroud he's getting to be a good quarterback. He's leading this team well. And I think he's going to get him past.
I agree with you there, Sam. I think CJ Stroud has been above and beyond what the Houston front office could have hoped for when they drafted him number 2 overall. The problem I see going into this game is that he is going to be missing one of his top targets, most likely in Tank Dell. And the Saints defense absolutely devoured New England's offense last week. And we know how crazy and creative a Bill Belichick offense can be. So I have a feeling this is going to be that game where CJ Stroud throws his first interception just because of the players that are offense really hasn't looked all that great since Derek Carr injured his shoulder. But that defense has stepped up and has been scoring them points and just absolutely throttling the competition. So I have the Saints in this one, and I think it's going to be one of those games where it's like, oh, okay, CJ Stroud is a rookie, but there's something we can build on here.
Yeah, so I agree, and I think the rookie quarterback is looking surprisingly well. Houston I'm glad to see them doing a little bit better this year, or a lot better this year, I should say. Neither team is really super highly ranking in any of their stats. It looks like New Orleans offense is ranked pretty freaking bad, but overall as the stats go. However, New Orleans is coming off of a really good win. Their biggest win in almost a year. They've got some amazing players on their team that I think are gonna like go off of that momentum. Kamara, Olave, Thomas, who, I'm happy he's doing better this year in his fantasy. So as far as like going against a mediocre defense and having those as the offensive weapons, I think they're going to be difficult to defend. And I am going with New Orleans. I think they're going to keep their little mini streak here going.
All right. Well, that being said, let's get on to our pop panel pick'ems brought to you by Aardvark Concepts Incorporated. More than just a sign shop. Check them out online and at their shop up in Westminster for all of your sign needs and decal needs, of course. Now let's get on to it. Let's take a look. So for the first set of games, we only have one outlier, and that is the Washington Commanders. I'm surprised there wasn't more people picking them.
It's one of those things where, I gave the Falcons a lot of crap last season, and they have looked marginally better. They just made a trade today for Van Jefferson from the Rams, essentially swapping picks to get him as a rental for the rest of the season. But I don't know. I'm just not seeing enough consistency with Atlanta to pick them with any sort of confidence.
So my confidence is more in Atlanta than it is in Washington right now, because Washington is pretty inefficient on both sides of the ball. And they're second in the league in turnovers. So turnovers lose games quickly. As much as I am not, putting my life on anything related to Atlanta and their success, I think they're going to take this one.
Yeah, Sam Howell.
I think it's interesting that, as Sam said, that I was the only one, just based on like the Commanders didn't look awful last week.
Yeah.
And Atlanta squeaked out a win against the Texans. So it's kind of like that.
Who we just defended and said they look pretty good sometimes.
Yeah, but no one came into this year expecting the Texans to have 2 wins.
Not at this point, no.
I'm saying it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next set of games. A few differences. Of course, Brady, we've already discussed the Colts. You're the only one to pick them.
I'm probably going to change my Bengals pick there. That was definitely I made my picks extremely quickly. Let's just say that. So
that one, that's a toss-up to me. I mean, the Bengals offense, sure, they scored 32 points last week, but it's not where it needs to be. And Seattle's defense has looked pretty good.
And they're more consistent. Seattle is more consistent. So.
They are more consistent on the defensive side. I think offensively, the Bengals can I think the Bengals can overcome that more so than the Seahawks would be able to.
That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem is the Bengals, we don't know when they're going to show up. And if they show up, they're the winners. Like 9 times out of 10 in these matchups. But they got to start showing up before we can start picking them.
And then, of course, there was the lone dissenting Carolina pick.
Hey, I mean,
the Colts.
Yeah, you.
Well, we don't have the Colts, but I mean, hey, if Devon Achan, Achu, bless you, if he's out, I mean, hey, upsets happen any given Sunday. Remember the Titans, other cliche football movie. Never know.
I don't see them slowing down.
No, but you never know. They may have like a stomach bug that sweeps through the locker room before a game.
Maybe.
If it does, I'm changing my pick.
Yeah. I don't think I'd even change my pick for that. All right, let's move on to the next set of games. Only 2 of us picked New England to bounce back after the 2 horrendous losses. And I did it simply because I don't trust the Raiders.
Yeah.
I trust the Raiders less than I trust New England and Bill Belichick.
No, it's definitely a toss-up for me. This one could change for sure.
It's Bill Belichick against a former assistant, and we all know how that always goes. That was the only thing I needed to hear.
Yeah. I feel like I'm just going to start putting question marks under every single one of Jessica's picks, because she's always changing them.
Listen, either if my life gets a little less busy and I can actually think about things before I pick them, or we start having these on the Wednesdays and I have a day to think about it. We'll see. I'll be a little bit more structured here. But until that day.
Well, these do get
Another thing
uploaded on
too
Thursday.
with that game is JC Jackson, recently acquired, is going to be probably more familiar with the defensive playbook, and he's probably going to wind up covering Devontae Adams all game. So,
Actually, Devontae Adams was quiet. It wasn't him that was making all the
it
plays.
wasn't him last week, yeah. So I don't know, we'll see, but yeah, Bill Belichick against former coach. It's all I needed to know.
And then there was one person who thinks that the Rams are going to lose to the Arizona Cardinals.
The Cardinals have surprised some teams, Sammy. So you know what?
Wasn't it one of them with like a star?
Yeah.
Like it was like silver.
You
And
say it first.
Because they're birds.
I'm gonna take you bird
He's
watching.
a huge Alfred Hitchcock fan. He doesn't get the reference because it's like 40 years his senior.
I think it's more than that, but yeah.
More than that.
I think it came out in the 40s actually.
No, Alfred Hitchcock's Birds did not come out in the 40s.
I think it did. Maybe
It came out in the 70s.
I don't think so, but go ahead.
We're looking it up.
1963.
1963.
All right, well, it was
definitely
in the
40s.
70s. Whatever. It was like one of the first, I don't know, color movie. I don't
It
know.
was not one of the first color movies.
Move
All I
on.
know is Aunt Karen made me watch it.
Jess is just digging a hole. We got to move on.
I know.
It
See, I
wasn't even
can't-
his first movie.
and you guys expect me to make football picks on a Tuesday. Yeah.
Well, let's move
Keep
on to
this
the
in
next
mind.
set. Once again, almost complete anonymity.
Sammy will
Somebody
not.
refuses to pick the Cowboys.
I mean,
No, dummy.
I gotta say, that one I did waver on because
Me too.
Eckler's coming back this week, but we all know how Dak Prescott plays against bad defenses. He plays really well, so I think that game's just going to be a shootout. So it's one of those like, will they, won't they type games.
I kind of wavered on it a little bit too.
It goes
That's-
without saying, but mine could change.
But
We just need to put like a
Disclaimer. Jessica's
some
picks
extra
may change. I'm
Whatever.
gonna put a disclaimer at the very end next time.
Since I got a nickname, can hers just be like Saj, subject to change?
I might have to change it to that instead of the QB Queen.
TBD. We should just put TBD for mine.
Yeah, that's true.
Thinking that, I'm gonna start putting those question marks back in there. Maybe I layer them and it's like faded behind it.
And you're just clicking back and forth as she's speaking.
I'm like, wait, change it back.
All right, you ready?
For what?
You know what?
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
That's right. We do this every week. These get put out every Thursday when we remember. And we try hard. We love to get your opinions on some of these games, find out why somebody loves birds so much, and perhaps what kind of crazy things going to happen next week. Let's see who got it right.
It's gonna be me, but it's fine.
Possibly. Well, as always,
Oh,
who are you?
Sam.
I'm Jessica.
I'm football Jesus.
And I'm Sam. And you have a great football week.